Okay, so here I am coming in just under the wire again. It's 11 o'clock on Monday evening. And I'm going to squeak this out before the midnight deadline. Not doing so great on the schedule lately. Not sure why. Got to think about that. Got to improve on that. Anyway, it is time to show up. I'm showing up. I'm glad you showed up. I appreciate every single one of you. I do. I really mean it. I really do. Do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. I have been thinking about some stuff. I had this idea. Every so often, I just get this wild hair at my arse, and I'm like, hey, I want to work on a thing, you know? And I do that a lot. I just kind of, I'm thinking about stuff, and I go, I should work on this thing that I've never worked on before. Now, obviously, I've got like 50 other things that I have worked on and that I'm still not good at, and I should work on one of those. But new shiny thing that I want to do. I want to work on the new shiny thing that I've never worked on before because I'm stupid and make bad decisions. I'm just moving this off of the other monitor so it's not distracting. But I was over here thinking about stuff, and I was like, I need to learn how to draw deer antlers. Because I got a lot of creepy ideas. There are two particular areas that I want to kind of focus on in my art, and one of them is creepy horror-related stuff, and the other is, well, porn. I mean, bluntly speaking, I think these two things go together really well. Because I'm very much of the opinion that Hellraiser is not just a movie, it is a religion. So I'm very much a fan of putting the horny into the horror. And I think those go together really well. And there's a lot of stuff that I want to kind of work with around that. And one of the things that I've been kind of kicking around in my head is the whole Alice in Wonderland theme of a nice, pretty pastoral sort of surroundings, and then there's weird shit that lives in it. And I was thinking, you know, you could have some weird shit that's like in there with deer antlers and shit. So I was thinking about deer antlers, and well, I got to looking at this reference for deer antlers. I got to looking at it and just kind of scratching my head and going, huh. This looks familiar. I feel like I've seen something like this before. And then it occurred to me that, yes, I have seen something like this before. I have very much seen something like this before. That kind of looks, I mean, if you turn it around and you think about it in different positions, and you just kind of think of, the antler as a series of talons. And I got to thinking about this and I went, what if you had like a deer skull, okay? Like, here's your deer skull. And then instead of just having antlers that came out of its head, what if it had big creepy hands? What if there were like these big fucked up hands coming out of its head? Wouldn't that be messed up? I think that'd be pretty messed up. You just had these big hands coming out of its head. And I got to thinking about that, and I got to thinking about, well, how would you make that even more creepy? And I thought, well, on top of that, if they came out of its head at like a particular angle, if you think about the way a deer is shaped, the way a deer's head is shaped, okay? If you think about the hands kind of coming out here, right? And you think about, like, here's these hands that come out. You get these creepy hands that are coming out of its head. But then down through the skull and into the neck, you could have, like, actual arms. So, like, the neck of the deer actually has these arms that go down at these arm bones. So you've got kind of the wrists up here, and then you've got the arm bones kind of slid down into there. So as it was like attacking something, it would kind of shove these hands out in front of it. I got to thinking about that some more, and I was like, well, it's going to need a bigger brow. It's going to need some predator eyes for binocular vision, and then it'd need like a false eye over here on the side. And then it'd conceal the real eye with some coloration or something. It'd be shadowed under the brow, and then you could make I got to thinking about it, and I was thinking, what if the eye sockets were like right here, and then that could be this creepy fucked up thing. I got to thinking about all of this, and I was thinking about all of the different ways that I could mess around with this. And of course I was looking at reference material on how to draw deers. This is from Jack Ham's How to Draw Animals. I've got the physical book over here. This is from Jack Ham's How to Draw Animals, and I just kind of pulled the bit on the deer out so I could take a closer look at all of this and have a better idea of what I was doing. So I was just kind of looking at this, and I was looking at how it was structured. And really, it's one of these things where if we just kind of imagine here's this creepy fucked up hand coming out, over here's the thumb, over here the fingers, and then that is kind of, here's the wrist, and then you've got these arm bones that come down here, down the throat, and it can like push them out to have this messed up grasping claw sort of thing going on. And then it can kind of reach out and grab you and hold you in place, and it'd be able to put these hands down and hold something up to its mouth to eat it. And that's kind of messed up. So I was thinking about that, and I was thinking that what you want to do is you want to kind of broaden out. Think about how you'd want to broaden out the muzzle, first of all. Make it kind of more substantial. I was thinking you make it more, sort of more like a lion, more like a lion's muzzle. So it's like you see it from the side, and you see this sort of You see this profile that looks more or less like a deer because you've got this false eye over here. But then you see it from the front, and when you see it from the front, you can just tell that's not a deer. I was thinking if you broaden that out and you give it kind of big nasty teeth. That would be kind of messed up. But then, you know, you see it from the side and you got this profile that here's the false eye, here's the real eye. And it'd just be a little bit thicker of a look for the muzzle. So you see it from the side, it just looks like a deer, and it's got the hands sticking up like antlers. And then when you get close, it can like stick out the hands and fuck with you and stuff. And this is all just kind of just me thinking out loud. I've just been trying to think of interesting, weird shit that I could do. And then, of course, you'd have the ears underneath of it. And it could also maybe fold the hands back along the back of its head if it wanted to conceal itself and not be very visible, like if it was stalking prey or something. So he's been kind of thinking about this idea. And as I was going through thinking about this, the big thing that hit me was, as I was drawing like these hands, I haven't gotten good at drawing hands, but I have just kind of magically gotten kind of better at it. For no particular reason, because I haven't been working on it, like, at all. But at the same time, I haven't not been working on it. Because, you know, it's like... hands are a big deal. You gotta learn how to do hands. I'm always going, I suck at doing hands. I need to do a better job at hands. And it's like doing hands has gotten substantially easier, and they look better, you know? There's a better look to the way that I do hands now. Although it's still not great. There's a lot of work to be done here, you know? But I was looking at that and I was just going, you know, this kind of filters in. This kind of filters in from, like, nowhere. Because, as you go through your little art journey, you put more work into stuff. You start to think about how everything fits together. You start to think about how everything works together. And you end up getting a better feel and a better sense for stuff. Like, one of the things I'm finding is that I'm more likely at this point in my art journey, as they say, to fix something like the way I just did with that hand's angle. I'm more likely to fix something with the lasso tool and transform than I am to get annoyed at it and throw it out and start over. Because it's become something that I've gotten more of an eye for. And you just kind of pick these things up as you go, and you improve just by continuing to think about it, even if you're not actively working on stuff. And one of the things that I'm kind of constantly frustrated by and working on is I've got so much stuff that I need to learn and so much stuff that I need to work on. And I feel like I'm not getting any of it done. And I feel like I'm not getting better at the things I want to get better at. But I am getting better at stuff. And I'm getting better at just noticing stuff. Like just looking at this picture of a deer, I immediately noticed that the knee is way up here. And then you've got an ankle right there. And then you've got the kind of the toe joint there. And that's the end of the toe. Okay? And it's the same thing up here. This knee is way up here. And then you come down. Here's the heel. Here's the ball of the foot. Here's the toe. And that's fairly basic stuff. But just like looking at where this stuff is, if I had been trying to work on this earlier today, okay, I would have done something more like this, okay? I would have thought that this is the way that it looks, but that's not the way that it looks. It really looks a lot more like this. That's more what it looks like. And there's a longer area there than I anticipated. And the front I would have like done completely wrong. The front I would have done almost the exact same thing, but of course the elbow goes the opposite direction as the knee. And the wrist comes down substantially. And then you've got the knuckles here and that ungulate foot there. And that's stuff that has become obvious to me over the course of the past, I don't know how much time, because I haven't really been working on drawing animals. But I've been noticing that this stuff filters in, and that I can make more progress, and that I can see more detail in the stuff that I'm looking at. I'm making more connections, and those connections that I'm making are being reflected in my style and my ability, even though I still kind of flounder around and just flail and don't do much of anything. But things are filtering through. If you just put in the time, just thinking about your work, even if you don't actually practice, even if you don't actually pick up your stylus or your pen or your paints or what have you, just spending some time thinking about your craft and thinking about how you can do it better and thinking about what you need to work on and what you know about what you need to work on and trying to kind of formulate that and figure it out, that gets you somewhere and it makes a difference. So, I don't know. Maybe that's helpful. Maybe it's not. I don't fucking know. I'm running out of time and I needed to get a video out. So this is kind of where I am right now, is just kind of thinking along these lines. And I wrote kind of a banger on Subscribestar this week, so I guess that's where all of my creative energies went. But yeah, there's a link in the doobly-doo to go to my Subscribestar, and there's no point in being a paid subscriber right now. All of the posts are public. Like, they're not even restricted to free subscribers. But, you know, like, just, like, go there and read this past Sunday's entry. It's really fucking good, if I do say so myself. And, you know, once again, do a little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all that happy horse shit. And, okay, bye.